Welcome back. This new idea for a video series has been always something that's interested me. The idea is, can you block the G protein from binding to the actual receptor itself, specifically for serotonin 2A? The unique feature about this project is that we'll be using something called SiteMap to try and figure out how to block the G protein. Let me explain. This is the receptor that psychedelics bind to, so I'm trying to basically develop a compound that is we'll call an intracellular antagonist. It would have in theory, have a dampening effect of psychedelics or an antipsychotic, but you wouldn't know that until the compounds are actually tested. Here's the PDB idea I'm looking for. I'm looking for a serotonin 2A receptor bound to serotonin with the G protein bound. 9ARY is what I'm looking for. 9ARY, enter. Protein prep. Preprocess. Check structure. Okay, good. Optimize. Prepare my protein so there shouldn't be anything different. The unique feature, like I said, is that I'm going to be using something called SiteMap. Clean up. Okay, structure is prepared. I'm going to delete all these other entries. I don't need them. Delete. I'm going to ungroup this one. I'm going to split out the G protein from the receptor itself. And here's what I basically am referring to. Let me split it out and then I'll show you. Okay. This is the protein with serotonin bound to it. Okay. Okay. And on the bottom of the receptor, in this bottom part, this is where the G protein binds in this middle cavity. The idea is I want to run a tool called SiteMap, which will hopefully identify that as a potential binding site. So basically what I'm going to try and do is design a drug that binds to where the G protein would interact with the protein. The G protein allows it to produce an intracellular cascade, which can produce biased agonism. But basically it allows it to signal inside of itself. If you block it, you'll maybe blunt the effects of it being able to signal inside of a cell because you're interrupting with the fact of the G protein binding. Okay, so anyways, if we want to see that with the G protein, control. Okay, good. Yeah, that gives us the G protein. Well, that gives us that's not the full G protein, but it's the portion of the G protein. It's called the alpha 5 helix right here. This is the alpha 5 helix, the G protein that interacts with the actual receptor itself. So once again, the idea is we're going to try and block this from happening by designing a drug that binds to this bottom region where the G protein interacts. Well, how do we do that? We can use this really cool tool to first identify that binding site. It's called SiteMap. I'm going to run it. We're not going to block serotonin from binding. We're going to run this thing called SiteMap. And it's basically going to tell us where other potential binding sites are on this protein. And hopefully we get one at the bottom cavity, because that's the one that we actually want to use. Okay, here's the protein. Let's go to the first SiteMap. not that one. That one's the top region. That's it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's our site for sure. Right, so here's what I'm going to do. Here's the best way I've found to do this. I'm going to take this, control, click, going to right click. I'm going to merge these entries. So I now have one file with the sitemap in there. I'm going to export this. Structure. Desktop. PDB. Gonna call this G protein 5 G protein serotonin 2A sitemap. I'm gonna save it to my desktop as a PDB file. I'm gonna go to our dear friend ChatGPT. There are some pretty technical things that ChatGPT can do a lot faster than me, so I'm gonna use that for it. Okay, I'm gonna feed it that file. G protein, this one. Okay, I made a site map for a different I have attached the file. Can you tell me the 3D coordinate to use for making the grid file? It can do this a lot faster than me. I'll show you why this is so cool. Receptor grid generator. I'm gonna go to site because I want to make the grid file for docking. I should delete out the ligands now. I don't need it anymore. Okay. Did ChatGPT figure it out yet? Wait for it to do its thing. All right, chat, what do you got? Okay, watch how cool this is. 132.745, 130.024, 130.024, and 147.257. Okay. Boom. ChatGPT is pretty dang amazing. It gave me the exact coordinates for that site. I can always make sure. We'll just compare the numbers again. Just want to be sure I put them in right. 132.745, 130.024, 147.257. Excellent. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to advanced settings. Okay, it says to make the inner box 18 to 20. That's kind of big. Yeah, 14 to 16 is more appropriate, I think. I don't listen to ChatGPT for everything, but for some things it's really good. Like that, I wouldn't have been able to figure that out faster than Chat did. So we'll go back here. Okay. That's our inner box. Our inner box is in that G protein binding site where the G protein would bind. I'm going to run this job. I'll do 16. I don't mind a longer compute time. Okay, glide grid, serotonin. Let's see, serotonin to a G protein. I'm gonna run this job. I'll show you how to run one of those jobs. I'm gonna go to ligand docking. I'm gonna go to that sitemap that we created. Okay, it is not sitemap, it's gonna be glide grid. Okay, here, it's this one, glide grid serotonin 2AG protein. Then I would hit ligands. This is 1.3 million. I have 14. I have 13 of these files that are already prepared and ready to go, which is kind of nice. If anybody wants these files, I'm happy to share them. But they do take up a lot of memory. Not gonna sugarcoat that. This is 1 million. The settings, I'm gonna hit HTVS, ligands. You can name the job. Okay, and then you'll hit run. I always do not incorporate because that eats up a lot of RAM space. If you do incorporation, it'll load everything in the workspace. It eats up a lot of RAM. You're gonna hit run. I'm not gonna click run because I've already done these, so I would hit run. I already have all these jobs running. I've already started these a few hours ago. Okay, so here it is. There's 13 of them running. There's 57 jobs. This will take over a week. So until then, I'll see you next week when we have all these jobs complete and we can go from there to do SP and XP. Hope this is an interesting idea where we're using sitemap to identify different potential binding sites and looking in, once again, different ways to block G protein signaling inside of a cell. Bye-bye.